Chapter 661, Tang Wulin's Trick. In this brief confrontation, both Tang Wulin and Ayuna had used 3 techniques, but Golden Dragon Body, Golden Dragon Tyrant Body, and Golden Dragon Shakes the Earth had consumed much more power than Hell Rush, 100 Hell Claws, and Hell Slash had. Ayuna landed gracefully on the ground. You're not half as strong as you look. Tang Wulin frowned. She's one of the Monster 8 Kings all right. Although she's the youngest and has the lowest cultivation level among them, she seems to possess more battle experience than the ones I have fought. She knows exactly when to attack and when to defend, and her eyes are troublesome. Then Tang Wulin's frown gave way to a smile. He waggled his right index finger in a bring it on gesture. Ayuna felt anger rise inside her. Her face darkened and she pounced on Tang Wulin again. That was when Dayuan stopped smiling and started looking worried. That's not good. She is angry. She is spoiled and proud, and no one ever dares to defy her, so she gets provoked easily. Talented as she is, she'll leave herself open to attack if she loses her cool. And to make matters worse, Tang Wulin might be up to something. I don't like that smile of his. Dayuna charged, her eyes shining a blue that burned like ice. Tang Wulin found even his purple demon eyes couldn't withstand her spiritual attack. It was all he could do not to let it harm his soul. Pain lanced through his head, and he fell back 2 steps, but he managed to fling both arms up before his face. Yet she smoothly slid behind him and slashed her claws at his back. Tang Wulin's body was still rigid from her spiritual attack. His head was not clear enough to activate Golden Dragon Tyrant Body, and even his Golden Dragon Body had been weakened a little. The audience was excited because they believed Tang Wulin's defeat was inevitable. However, before the princess's claws could hit him, a swarm of blue silver grass shot out from his back and started to twine around her. Tang Wulin was not in control of his movements, but he had ordered the Gold Song to use his first soul skill for him when Dayuna came at him. Gold Song was his first soul spirit, and it had grown stronger and become his most trustworthy of friends after years of fighting alongside him. It all happened so fast. Dayuna never thought he was still able to use his soul skills. She thrashed and slashed in shock, and when she finally fought her way out, she jumped up, her claws enlarging and descending in a savage arc towards Tang Wulin's head. By then the effect of her spiritual attack had worn off, and Tang Wulin had regained control of his body. The 2 golden soul rings around him were gone, and in their place were 3 purple and 1 black soul rings, the second one shining brightly. Numerous spines shot up, grabbed Dayuna, and tied her up. The blue silver impaling array hadn't caused much damage to her body, but the high frequency vibrations had dizzied her and rendered her unable to move. Tang Wulin put the princess on the ground before him, his golden dragon claw bearing down on her head. Everyone in the stands jumped to their feet, aghast. Dayuan's heart leapt up into his mouth in sudden fear. He was about to rush onto the stage. They had seen the horrifying power of Tang Wulin's golden dragon claw. Even battle armor had been torn apart, let alone an unprotected human head. Tang Wulin's claw changed back into a human hand a foot from the princess's head. He delivered a chopping hand strike to her neck and sent her into a coma. Dayuan let out a sigh of relief. If he had killed Yuna, he would have started a war. The furious and anxious look on Dai Tianling's face eased up a bit. This match ended almost in a heartbeat. It was not a very entertaining one to most people. They preferred fights with fists flying and blood spilling, and only the ones with sharp eyes could understand what had really happened. Princess Dayuna was taking control of the match in the beginning, but then she lost her composure after getting provoked by Tang Wulin, said Fonga. The result could have been different if she had remained calm. Actually, she didn't think the princess could win even if she had kept her composure, but as a citizen of the Star Luo Empire, she had to root for her. Dayuna had gained the upper hand at first, with the help of her second martial soul, the Spirit Eyes, the same as one of the 2 martial souls of the legendary Spirit Eye Luo, Huo Yuao. It was a spirit-type martial soul and very helpful to the growth of spiritual power. Young as Dayuna was, her spiritual power had almost reached the spirit of this realm. Her Spirit Eyes provided 4 soul skills for her: Spirit Detection, Spirit Disturbance, Soul Disturbance, and Area of Effect Power Weakening. She had been using Spirit Detection on Tang Wulin during the whole match, which had been why she could have timed her attacks that perfectly. Chapter 662, I Miss You. If not for his purple demon eyes, Dayuna's Soul Disturbance might have knocked Tang Wulin out. Spirit-type martial souls were extremely rare, and spirit attacks were quite effective and hard to dodge or overcome. If she had been more careful and had a better control of her emotions, she might have stood a chance of defeating Tang Wulin. Nonetheless, her fighting skills had impressed him. When Tang Wulin walked off the stage, the audience booed him again. It had become a habit of theirs. He blocked his ears with soul power, thinking back on Dayuna's spiritual attack. How did she manage to deliver those powerful attacks? Her spiritual power must be immense. This round was over when the sun started setting. Tang Wulin, Yuan and Yui, and Shishi had advanced to the top 16, and so had Long Yue, Dayuan, and Lin San. 6 of the top 16 spots were filled by the 2 academies. The tournament was becoming fiercer by the day. In the next round, Tang Wulin would have to fight Dayuan, the Tiger King, who ranked 2nd in the Monster 8 Kings, and Shishi would face Lin San, the Wind King, who ranked 4th. These 2 were daunting opponents, especially for Shishi. If the Shrek Academy managed to prevail over them, the respect the Monster Academy commanded would hit rock bottom. I didn't lose. Dayuna yelled, smashing a vase to pieces. This one made 6. Her face was tight with anger. She wanted nothing more than to fight Tang Wulin again, but 2 old soul masters were standing at her door to make sure she couldn't. Tang Wulin, I will get back at you, you cunning bastard. Just you wait. Anger filled her whenever his evil little grin came to mind. I was getting the better of him. I was kicking his ass. If not for his dirty trick, I would have won. She had planned to garner a lot of attention and admiration in this tournament with her soul skills, but Tang Wulin had made a fool of her. How could she not be so furious? Don't worry, Yuna. We'll be sure to avenge you, said Long Yue, who walked in with Dayuan. The princess ran to them and looked up at Long Yue with eyes red-rimmed and puffy, tugging at his sleeve. I was winning. Then he provoked me to anger, and I fell for his trick. I have twin martial souls. I could have easily defeated him with my spirit eyes. Dayuan frowned. Stop whining, little sister. You're easily provoked. That's your weakness. You can't blame your opponent for taking advantage of that. You should think about how to stop that from ever happening again instead of blowing off steam by going on the rampage here. Besides, Tang Wulin is not as weak as you think. Dayuna's mouth curled downwards. Whose side are you on? 4th brother. Are you my brother or Tang Wulin's? Long Yue laughed and touched her head. You fought well today. You put him through the ringer if nothing else. Dayuna was still displeased. Hold him down for me when we meet him in the 2-on-2s, Brother Long, and I'll literally kick his ass. Dayuan was flabbergasted. A princess will never do such a thing. You'll disgrace father. I don't care, she said stubbornly. I'll teach him to mess with me even if father grounds me. Tang Wulin gave a violent sneeze when he was about to start meditating. He forced himself to get his mind off of Gu Yue these days and tried to stay focused on the tournament. He had to. It was his responsibility as the captain of their team. Gu Yue was sitting expressionless in the room next door, thoughtful. Suddenly, the light in her room flickered, and a girl in a long purple dress appeared out of nowhere. She was very pretty, with purple eyes and long purple hair. My lord, she said, kneeling before Gu Yue. Did you find anything? Asked Gu Yue. Yes. We found that Long Yue's martial soul is not innate. He got it from a secret place. We tried to locate that place but failed. We are thinking that it might be in the Monster Academy. We can search that place, but not without attracting unwanted attention. Don't do it then. Yu Yue said. I can't sense that place. Maybe it's in one of the small worlds, and the thing I lost is probably there too. She paused a moment. I'm getting my power back, but it's taking a long time. I need that thing. Yes, my lord. I think most of the powerful soul masters of the Monster Academy will attend the finals of the tournament. I'll search for more clues then. Good. Keep me posted. Yes, my lord. Then she disappeared without a trace. Gu Yue stood up and walked to the window. She couldn't help but turn her head in the direction of Tang Wulin's room. Naya was sitting on the swing on Sea God Island, moving slightly back and forth. Her calves were slim and beautiful, her silver hair streaming in the wind. She was staring off into the distance with sad eyes. I wish I could go there with you, big brother, but I have to stay here to train. I need to get stronger. That's the only way I can suppress her power. Come back safe, big brother. I miss you. Chapter 663, The Tang Sex Mission. Fonga walked on the street in a cloak with a hood to hide her head and face. Many a time she heard passers-by talk about the tournament. Got any spare tickets, bro? I have money, a man said. I wish. I'm looking for someone to buy a ticket from as well, said a second man. This is definitely the best tournament ever. The Monster Academy versus the Shrek Academy. You don't get to see such an epic fight as this every day. I'd give anything for a ticket. Me too. Only 3 students of the Monster Academy have made it into the top 16. Who would have thought? But the 4th prince will be the captain of the Shrek Academy team tomorrow. That's for sure. They're rooting for the Monster Academy to win. I'm glad. Fauna thought, walking. I also want them to win, but I still haven't seen Tang Wulin's true power. He knocked the princess out in a matter of seconds. Those vines of his may prove to be a troublesome technique for Dai Yuan, even though he is one of the best among the Monster 8 kings and he has pure royal blood. As for Shishi, he seems to be the only agility type soul master in their team. His speed and attack power are impressive, and he was hiding power too. But Lin San has the advantage of a full set of one-word battle armor, so the odds are in his favor. She couldn't stop thinking about the fact that Tang Wulin and his teammates were much younger. This tournament is not fair for them. If they were one-word battle armor masters, even Long Yue would have a hard time defeating them. I think. Hopefully the 4th prize will stop Tang Wulin and redeem themselves. Fonga was walking past a rare metal shop when a man walked out. He was tall, and his face was hidden in a hood like hers, but she managed to catch a look at it, since she was much shorter, and one look was enough for her to recognize that face. Tang Wulin. What's he doing here? Shouldn't he be training instead of buying rare metal? Tang Wulin was in a good mood. He had just bought some pretty decent metal from the shop which had formed a partnership with him. He could use the metal to forge 2-word battle armor for him and his friends after refining it. He would fight Dai Yuan tomorrow, a more formidable opponent than anyone he had faced in this tournament, but he found himself strangely calm. In fact, he hadn't been himself after Gu Yue told him that she only got close to him because of his bloodline. No. I don't believe it. She was lying. He told himself over and over again, but his heart ached every time he thought of her. He shook his head, as if trying to shake these thoughts out. When he was about to start back towards his hotel, the badge in his pocket vibrated. The Tang sect is summoning the agents. He thought, taking it out. He was right. The arrow was pointing in the direction of the Tang sect. He could sit this mission out. He didn't need to participate in any mission in a long time. That was the benefit of a first-class citation. Nonetheless, he found himself walking towards the Tang sect. Whatever the mission would be, it would serve as a good distraction to get his mind off Gu Yue. The Tang sect headquarters in Star Luo City was bustling with people as always. Tang Wulin found a place where no one could see him and changed into his white uniform. When he followed the arrow and arrived at the place, many agents were already there. To his astonishment, everyone wore a white mask except for the one standing in front of them. A smile showed on his face when he laid eyes on the only black class agent and recognized him. He was wearing a mask and a cloak, but they couldn't hide his build and vibes. Black 1, his code name for the last mission. Hopefully today's mission won't take long. Black 1 strode over to him when he spied Tang Wulin. White 3. Tang Wulin nodded with a smile. Nice to see you again, Black 1. Black 1 smiled back. It's been a while since we last met. I'm glad you came. This opportunity only comes once in 10 years. Once in 10 years? What is this mission? Tang Wulin wondered. Black 1 chatted with him for a little while and then walked back to the front. Soon there were 30 people here and counting. Half an hour later, over 100 agents had arrived, and they were all white class agents except for Black 1. All right, let's get to the mission, Black 1 said at last. All the white class agents were looking at him. But first, all the agents under rank 40 or over rank 50 and all the one-word battle armor masters please step forward. 5 agents moved forward. I'm afraid you are not allowed to participate in this mission, said Black 1. Chapter 664. The Dragon Valley mission. I just reached rank 50 a few days ago. One of the 5 agents said to Black 1 respectfully. Can I be included in this mission? Black 1 shook his head. That place is no joke. This rule was established after years of trial and error. If you don't play by that place's rules, you'll put everyone's life in danger. Then he turned to the crowd. Is there anyone else under rank 40 or over rank 50? No one else moved forward. The agents of the battle hall were obviously very honest. The 5 agents left, disappointed. Tang Wulin was afire with curiosity. This might be an opportunity for me to grow stronger. There are only 30 places on this mission, Black 1 continued, and there are over 100 of you, so a contest will be held in a month to decide who will get the opportunity. The mission will start in 10 days or so after the contest. Then all the white class agents had their badges checked, as was the routine. White 3, please step forward, Black 1 called out. It took Tang Wulin several seconds to realize that Black 1 was calling him. He hurried over to him. White 3 risked his life to save everyone on his last mission, said Black 1, so he will be exempted from this contest, because he has already earned a place on this Dragon Valley mission. Nobody objected. The Tang sect was nothing if not just, thank you. Tang Wulin felt so flattered. By the time the mission starts, the tournament should be over. But where is this Dragon Valley? He didn't know anything about this mission, but he couldn't ask questions that might give away his secret that he was from the Duo continent, because once they learned that he was the captain of the Shrek Academy team, they might not be so kind to him. On the morning of the competition between the top 16 contestants, the Grand Star Luo Stadium was surrounded by crowds of people staring at the screens hanging outside the stadium. They had failed to procure tickets, but standing there, they could at least hear the exciting cheering inside. People craved to be entertained. Tang Wulin, Shishi, and Yuan and Yui were escorted into the stadium by a group of soldiers assigned to protect them. Yuan and Shishi said in a low voice. Yuan and Yui turned to face him. What? Shishi gave a silly grin. Will you please be my girlfriend after I defeat my opponent? You must be out of your mind. Yuan and Yui flared. Don't you want to motivate me to win? No, I don't, she said, her face expressionless. Shishi nudged Tang Wulin. She doesn't want me to win, Captain. She doesn't want to motivate you to win, corrected Tang Wulin. I guess I'll hand the victory to my opponent on a platter, Shishi said. Tang Wulin shrugged. I'm sure Teacher Wu and Elder Kai will be very happy to see that. Yuan and Yui glared at Shishi. I swear if you deliberately lose your match, I'll never go out on a date with you, ever, she said coldly. Shishi's face lit up. Does that mean you'll go out on a date with me if I win the match? Yuan and Yui snorted and walked towards her couch. I've got a date coming up. Shishi beamed. Tang Wulin managed a wry smile. He didn't want to put a damper on his friend's plan by breaking the hard truth to him. At least he's got one more reason to win, and a big one at that. Only 16 catchers remained in the waiting area. Even Dai Yuna was not allowed to come. Long Yue smiled at Tang Wulin, and Dai Yuan nodded at him. The captain of the Shrek Academy team nodded back with courtesy. Shishi spotted Lin San and fixed his eyes on him. Lin San was lean, with above average height and looks. Calm vibes were emanating from him. He was the most unobtrusive one among the Monster 8 kings. Feeling Shishi's eyes on him, Lin San raised his head to meet them, his eyes clear and without any emotion. Shishi gave a snort of scorn. He felt an urge to fight rising from deep inside him. Dai Yuan turned to smile at Lin San. It seems your opponent is not impressed. Doesn't matter, Lin San said coolly. Would it have killed you to show some emotion? The 4th prince asked, not unkindly. Yes. Dai Yuan was beaten. You're incorrigible. Lin San was also a legend in the Monster Academy. He was quiet and had no hobbies to speak of. He devoted all his time to training. Although he was the weakest in terms of talent and martial soul, he was ranked 4th in the Monster 8 kings, and even Dai Yuan and Sumu were not sure they could defeat him. Hard work can compensate for lack of natural talent. He didn't care about titles and such. He had chosen to become one of the Monster 8 kings because he wanted to get better training resources and more opportunities to fight powerful opponents. Dai Yuan believed Lin San, the Wind King, was born to fight. Even the Monster Academy thought very highly of him, despite his unobtrusive nature. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's competition. Fonda's voice echoed in the stadium. Only 8 competitors will advance to the next round, and they will be the best of the best. Everybody in the stands looked to the waiting area. The 16 contestants were sitting there, waiting for their future changing match. The prize money for the top 8 fighters was huge. More importantly, they would be given special privileges. They could choose to join the army or a sect, or serve a noble family, and they would be offered a peerage. There were only 2 ways to obtain a peerage in the Star Luo Empire. One way was through big tournaments like this one, and the other way was by making important contributions to the empire. Chapter 665. The Wind King. Peerage titles brought great benefit, even though they couldn't be passed on to someone else by inheritance. Peerage title holders didn't own land, but each one of them had a house and a handsome annual salary provided by the government, and they enjoyed a high social status. One would be offered the title of Baron if one managed to make it into the top 8 of the one-on-one competition, and the champion would be granted the title of Viscount. A Viscount social position in the Star Luo Empire could compare with that of a lord of a city. That was mostly the reason why so many people competed in this tournament. There was no other way easier than this to garner such fame and fortune. A soldier would have to complete an important mission or play a big part in a war to earn a peerage title. All the 16 contestants sitting in the waiting area were nervous with excitement right now, except for the ones from the Shrek Academy and the Monster Academy. The first match is guaranteed to be a good one, Fonga announced. Both of the competitors are agility-type soul masters. Shishi of the Shrek Academy versus Lin San, the Wind King of the Monster Academy. Will the two competitors please step onto the stage? Lin San rose to his feet unhurriedly, giving off an air of calm. Tang Wolin and Yuan and Yui watched him walk, shocked. They could see him, but they were not able to sense his aura. It was as if he had become one with the air surrounding him. He was a daunting opponent. There was no doubt about it. Unlike before, Shishi was neither nervous nor excited. He made his way towards the stage, his face expressionless. Yuan and Yui saw in his eyes a single-minded determination to win. He has grown stronger, but his opponent won't be easy to take down. She had defeated Tang Tang, but not without using her full power, and she attributed her victory to his ignorance of her twin martial souls. Lin San is apparently stronger than Tang Tang. Will Shishi be able to handle him? When both of them entered the stage, the soul barrier rose and the stadium quieted down. They stood still, like two statues. The audience watched them, nervous. They were worried that Lin San might suffer a defeat like Tang Tang had. It would be a nightmare for the Monster Academy if the Wind King was knocked out as well. Begin. The referee announced. Shishi and Lin San rushed towards each other like two arrows. They were both incredibly fast, but Lin San was much lighter on his feet, as if he were weightless. 5 soul rings appeared around Lin San, 3 purple and 2 black. The first one started shining, and then 2 crescent-shaped daggers materialized in his hands. They were light-looking, translucent, about a foot long, and somehow Shishi knew they were extremely sharp. Shishi charged, 4 purple soul rings revolving around him, light dragon dagger in his right hand, his eyes as cold and dark as onyx. They reached each other in a heartbeat. The moment their daggers met, they moved with quick silent steps, like two ghosts. They were both using ghost shadow perplexing track. Again and again the daggers met, the ring of metal and metal filling the quiet air. Suddenly Lin San danced away. Shishi stood there, blood welling from a cut on his left shoulder. Shishi's forehead furrowed. He is really fast and nimble. He parried my every attack, but his angles of attacks were so hard to predict. If not for my quick reaction, that attack of his might have left more than just a small cut. Shishi lunged at him, thrusting and slashing with his light dragon dagger, faster than before. Lin San dodged and parried, his daggers dancing with pale blue light. No matter how hard Shishi tried, his weapon never caught its target once. Neither of them used a second soul skill. They just kept on slashing at each other, steel glinting in the sunlight. Lin San is getting the better of Shishi. Fonga commented. If you look closely, you'll see that Lin San has the upper hand in speed and agility, which are what agility-type soul masters are all about, especially speed. Lin San is showing not only speed but skill. He times his attacks well, and strikes his opponent when he is vulnerable. Shishi has already sustained at least 6 injuries. They're not serious, but they're taking their toll. Fonga's commentary was precise and to the point. Lin San anticipated his opponent's attacks and responded quickly with an agility that was difficult to match. Shishi never knew what might be coming next. Lin San used his dynamic technique to attack him where he least expected it, making it tough for his opponent to read him. The speed of his combinations was threatening. Lin San stayed cool, calm and collected. His patience and endurance allowed him to capitalize on Shishi's mistakes. He was biding his time patiently, waiting for the opportunity to use a more powerful soul skill to take Shishi down. They were moving so fast that all the audience could see was a blur of movement. They needed Fonga's description to know what was happening on the stage. Shishi was panting from the effort now, blood oozing from his cuts. Chapter 666. Shishi's determination. There had already been a dozen cuts on Shishi's body, and they stung as wind sliced into them. His chance of winning was dwindling. Lin San was still expressionless. He was a patient fighter who liked to wait for the best chance to strike rather than going on a senseless barrage. Tang Tang had sparred with him countless times, but never once had he found a hole in his defense. He was sincerely convinced that Lin San was much stronger than him. No one trained harder than Lin San, not even Long Yue. No one could imagine the arduous training he had gone through to achieve such mastery of quickness and agility. Not for nothing was he called the strongest agility-type soul master in the Monster Academy. Shishi suddenly stopped chasing after Lin San. He stood there, never taking his eyes off his opponent. Approval glinted in Lin San's eyes. Not bad. That's a sensible decision he has just made. Trying to keep up with my footwork did no good other than wasting his energy. It's wise to focus on dodging and blocking my attacks while waiting for me to make a mistake. Only I never make mistakes. Lin San shot towards his opponent again, the dagger in his right hand thrusting at Shishi's left shoulder. Shishi parried it with his light dragon dagger, but then the Wind King brought his left dagger down, leaving a cut on his adversary's arm. Then the daggers flew at each other, and their steel song filled the arena. Lin San's flurries of slashes coming from both directions were tough to deflect, the number of cuts on Shishi's body increasing fast. Yuan and Yui found herself sitting up straight, her eyes fixed on Shishi. The audience was excited. They had never felt so satisfied throughout the entire tournament. They couldn't see a slim chance of Shishi winning. Lin San was indeed stronger in every way: agility, speed, techniques, soul power, and battle armor. Yet Shishi's hand was moving faster and faster, his dagger a blur. Again and again the daggers met, until Lin San found to his shock that his opponent was beginning to see through his attack pattern. He leapt away, impressed by his perseverance and talent. You're one hell of a fighter, observed Lin San. Although Shishi was not a worthy adversary yet, he was quickly becoming one, and Lin San was always more than willing to fight someone strong. That was his way of getting stronger. Thank you, replied Shishi. You too. Here I come. Lin San's second soul ring lit up. He charged again, approaching Shishi with lightning speed. Shishi was astounded. He is even faster than before. Could it be that his second soul skill has increased his speed? He could feel the wind that came with Lin San, but he couldn't hear him, and all he could see was a blur of movement. He raised his light dragon dagger and braced himself for the attack. A flurry of slashes, and several more cuts appeared on Shishi's body. At this rate, I will be defeated. Shishi thought, his second soul ring shining. Light dragon storm. He turned into a whirlwind to meet the countless strikes. Blood flew from his wounds, dotting the whirlwind with red. The clang of metal on metal rang loudly. Lin San jumped around him, attacking from different angles, but couldn't find an opening in his opponent's defense. Then he stopped his futile attacks and jumped up, hovering in the air with the help of the winds he created. Shishi's spinning slowed down to a halt, blood dripping down to the stage, which had already been splattered with red. He was hurt all over, and he felt a little dizzy from so much blood loss, but he stood firm, his eyes shining with an unwavering determination. Yield. You are an admirable opponent, but you can't beat me, Lin San said solemnly. Shishi laughed as if Lin San had told a joke. Maybe I can't beat you, but I'll never yield. Not to you, not to anyone. Lin San saw the resolution in his eyes. Then I guess I'll have to put an end to this match myself. His fourth soul ring started shining, numerous crescent-shaped wind blades appearing before him. Suddenly, they started rotating around him at high speed, forming a blade tornado. It was a 10,000-year soul skill, wind blade tornado. Lin San was not a person who liked playing with people before taking them down. He didn't like wasting time on frivolous things which were of no help to his training, so he decided to end this fight. Now that he had gauged Shishi's power, the blade tornado was growing bigger and more violent by the second. Its power was enough to rip a man to shreds, but Shishi showed no sign of fear. He stood there as a golden mist started rising around him. Chapter 667. A good fight. Dai Yuan inclined his head slightly as he looked at Shishi. Such courage. He is holding his nerve even in the face of such a daunting technique. He is from the Shrek Academy all right. If he were 4 or 5 years older, he would have been on the same level as Lin San. The thought made him sigh silently with shame. I'd rather fight someone older than me. There is no honor in taking down kids. The golden mist around Shishi thickened as his fourth soul ring began to shine. A dragon head formed in the mist, and then its torso and limbs, shining bright. He was using his fourth soul skill, Light Dragon. His right eye had turned golden, while his left was transparent like crystal. By then Lin San's wind blade tornado had been ready to attack, but he didn't attack. His pride wouldn't allow him to do such a thing. He was waiting. He intended to beat Shishi when his soul skill was at its strongest, because only that would give him some fulfillment. He was not only the most diligent student among the Monster 8 Kings, but also the proudest one. He never planned to use his battle armor. He'd sooner lose than resort to that. Finally the Light Dragon was whole. It spread its wings and let out a roar so deafening that everyone in the stands was startled. It was giving off dazzling light, so like that of the sun. Lin San's wait came to an end. The wind blade tornado descended, lashing and cracking the ground even before it reached Shishi. The Light Dragon flew up to meet it. I told you, you can't beat me. Lin San shouted as the tornado pressed the dragon down, but before it could engulf Shishi, he said, what? His voice was thick with shock. The Wind King couldn't see it, but he could sense a similar kind of energy to that of the light dragon bearing down on him. The two phantom dragons were working together, tearing his tornado apart bit by bit. Impressive. Lin San exclaimed. She had been planning this from the moment he realized his opponent's power was in a different league from his. He had used his third soul skill to create a clone, which had been biding its time, patiently waiting for a perfect window of opportunity. He had kept this clone hidden even when he could barely withstand Lin San's slashes, because his only chance was his other martial soul, which his adversary knew nothing about. His endurance had paid off. Lin San couldn't possibly block such a forceful attack, not without his battle armor. The blade tornado broke apart gradually, revealing Lin San inside, but before the light dragon and the shadow dragon could reach him, his fifth soul ring lit up, and he turned into a puff of wind and disappeared. Shishi lost sight of his opponent, but he didn't panic. He summoned his battle armor immediately. Black and white beams of light spiraled up his right arm as light armor with black veins came out of his body and covered his right forearm and shoulder. He only had 2 pieces of battle armor, like Tang Wulin, but he needed all the protection he could get right now. Lin San reappeared without a sound behind his adversary's back, but Shishi must have felt him. He thrust light dragon dagger backwards without even turning, yet Lin San darted away in time. Shishi whirled and charged with his shadow dragon clone, faster than ever. Lin San met him with his own daggers. Even without battle armor, he was faster than Shishi. Shishi parried a cut at his shoulder, grimacing as the wind around Lin San's dagger beat against his face. Lin San gave him no respite, his arms never still. The daggers clashed and sprang apart and clashed again. Shishi could have summoned more clones, but not without sacrificing speed and agility. He lost the moment his trump card failed to take Lin San down. From the thought. Nonetheless, he put up a good fight. Although the shadow dragon clone was invisible, it caught a wind blade and disappeared. Then Lin San brought both daggers down with all his strength, the downcut screaming through the air. Panting from exertion, Shishi jerked his dagger up over his head just in time, but he left himself open. Lin San kicked him in the stomach and sent him flying backwards. Shishi coughed up a mouthful of blood, landed on the ground, staggered back several steps, and fell down on his butt. He tried with all his might to pull himself up but failed. You're much stronger than I thought, Lin San said to Shishi, and got off the stage. Several healing type soul masters rushed over and tended to Shishi's wounds. The cuts were not deep. He had just lost a lot of blood. Soul masters were stronger and could generate blood faster, so he would recover in no time. Fights between agility type soul masters usually ended in a relatively short time, but not this one. Although it would have ended earlier had Lin San used his battle armor. Shishi had done his best. With Lin San's incredible speed and agility, and high level of mastery of Ghost's shadow perplexing track, he couldn't have hoped for a better result. Chapter 668, An Unseemly Laugh. Are you okay? Tang Wulin asked as he put his arm around Shishi's shoulders, hooked his hand into his armpit, and helped him off the stage. Shishi's face was waxy pale, yet the look in his eyes was surprisingly excited, as if he had won a fight instead of losing one. Yes. I'm more than okay, actually. I feel terrific. He's so fast and unpredictable. I think I learned a lot from him. He is looking at his adversary as some kind of teacher, Tang Wulin thought, surprised, but he was relieved that his friend didn't feel upset. He helped him take off his tattered clothes and dress in new ones, and sat him down in his couch. Shishi closed his eyes to take a rest, thinking on the match he had just fought and lost. Tang Wulin glanced at Lin San, who sat there, calm and relaxed as ever. Tang Tang is also a 5-ring soul master, but he's no match for Lin San when it comes to agility and skill. This Wind King may even have more battle experience than the Fox King soon knew. Tang Wulin felt someone looking at him and turned around to see Dai Yuyan's intent eyes. A smile touched the boy's lips. I have to get past him first to get my chance to fight Long Yue. It won't be easy, but I'm not going to let my friends down. The audience was still exultant about Shishi's crushing defeat when the second match started. The two contestants were equal in terms of power, and the fight ended with them both out cold. That left the referees to decide who the winner was. When it was Yuan and Yui's turn to compete, her opponent didn't put up as good a fight as Tang Tang had. She ended the match in a matter of minutes with the sheer power of her titan giant ape martial soul. Each and every match today was fascinating, but Fauna found herself stealing glances towards the waiting area, where the captain of the Shrek Academy team and the fourth prince of the Star Lure Empire were sitting. Their match would definitely attract a lot of attention. As the favorite heir to the throne, Dai Yuyan ought to prevent himself from engaging in anything like this tournament that might endanger his life or reputation. However, as a student whose power in the Monster Academy was second only to the Dragon King Long Yue, he should take the responsibility of bringing honor to his school, and he never shied away from his responsibilities. If the fourth prince wins, Fauna thought, the entire empire will be pleased, and he will get himself more followers who'd like to see him on the throne. I will be more than happy to see that happen. But will that happen? I can see everyone winning, judging from the fact that Tang Wulin has defeated Sun Yu, Hu Lantong, and Dai Yuna. Dai Tianling had come with the principal of the Monster Academy, NC. Considering the importance of Dai Yuyan's match, it was small wonder they were here. What are the odds Yuyan will win against Tang Wulin, Master NC? Dai Tianling asked in a low voice. The old man smiled. 70%, at least. Don't worry, my emperor. Yuyan is very talented and intelligent, and unlike many soul masters who tend to get arrogant after reaching a relatively high level in cultivation, he is never complacent with his achievements. Tang Wulin's abilities are queer, but Yuyan's soul power is much stronger. He will be victorious as long as he keeps his composure. Dai Tianling nodded. That's good to hear. After the tournament, he would choose a match for his princess and announce the crown prince publicly. That daughter of his was a handful sometimes, and he had a feeling that her engagement wouldn't go well. He just hoped his son would make it easy for him by winning the match against Tang Wulin. If he lost, people might consider him as a man who had disgraced the empire. They wanted their crown prince to be perfect, even though they were well aware that no one was perfect. Our next match is Tang Wulin versus Dai Yuyan, the fourth prince. Fauna said. Her voice was excited and nervous all at once, her hands coiling into fists on her lap. You can do it, Dai Yuyan. The crowd broke into chants of fourth prince. Fourth prince. Dai Yuyan rose to his feet proudly. He could feel blood pumping in his veins. The chanting made him feel like he was already the emperor. Ha ha. A loud laugh broke out, breaking the silence. The laughter couldn't have come at a worse time for Dai Yuyan, who was savoring the beautiful moment and whose morale was rising. Dai Yuyan turned sharply to see who it was and found Shishi standing there, guffawing with his head thrown back. The prince's mouth twitched with annoyance. What the hell is he doing? I figured it out. I finally figured it out. Ha ha. Shishi laughed. Chapter 669, The Essence of Agility. Shishi didn't seem to have felt the hostile glare on him and kept on laughing noisily. What are you babbling about? Tang Wulin asked, confused. I figured out how to become an agility type soul master. Shishi exclaimed, stoked. What? Aren't you already one? Tang Wulin thought, but what he said was, good for you. And then he made for the stage amid loud cheering and shouting. Dai Yuyan calmed himself down and followed after. What's gotten into you? Yuan and Yui demanded, standing up from her couch. Shishi threw his arms around her shoulders and hugged her tightly. I finally figured it out. Shishi answered. It seemed his excitement wasn't feigned. Yuan and Yui was embarrassed and angry and was about to push him off her, but then she smelled blood. Shishi's blood. She remembered the cuts over his body and didn't touch him. Get off me, she snarled in a hushed voice. Shishi seemed not to hear her. Before I met you, I was slack and not putting enough energy into training. Then you came into my life, and I was given a reason to get stronger and catch up to you. Because of you, I has become more powerful and confident. But then I hit a bottleneck, an agility bottleneck. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get my agility to another level. I never figured out why, until just now. Lin San's fighting style inspired me. I realized that the essence of agility lies in freedom. Freedom from the control of mind. My moves were too predictable, but they won't be once I let my instinct take control. I'll become strong and good enough for you. I promise. Yuan and Yui could hear his voice fading, and suddenly she felt his whole weight on her. He had fainted. She stood there uncertain for a moment. Is he doing all this just for me? A gentle look flashed across her eyes as she wrapped her arms around him and laid him down gently in his couch. She watched as he breathed evenly. By then both Tang Wulin and Dai Yuyan were on the stage. The shouting was kept out as the soul barrier rose. Tang Wulin picked his ear. Woo. That's much better. I think I've fallen in love with this barrier. Dai Yuyan fixed his eyes on his opponent and said nothing. He understood the importance of this match. He couldn't afford to lose to someone who was younger than him and who was from the Dulo continent. When the fourth prince looked at Tang Wulin, he didn't see a boy. No. He saw an adversary he must defeat. Compared to the prince, Tang Wulin was much more relaxed. He stretched his arms and legs casually, but he radiated combat skills just by standing there. Dai Yuyan thought he felt the power in Tang Wulin's blood, even though they were standing hundreds of feet apart. But he stared at the boy, his eyes unflinching. Let the fight begin. The referee announced. Tang Wuling grew a little taller as his spine made popping sounds, his golden dragon claws appearing. He could feel the golden dragon king's power surging through his veins. He charged, the first golden soul ring shining. In an instant, scales spread all over his body. His golden dragon body somehow seemed stronger than before. Yuan and Yui were surprised and not surprised. When I first met him, he was weaker than me, and I didn't even consider him a worthy rival. But as time passed by, he has grown stronger than any of us. His soul power rank may be low, but his overall power is unimaginable. And what's more amazing is that the stronger his opponent is, the stronger he becomes. Elder Kai and Wu Zhangkong were watching the match from their box, along with 8 powerful-looking delegates. They had come here for cultural exchange, and competing in the Continental Young Elites tournament had never been their plan. If they had known about this event beforehand, they would have brought older and stronger students. They had allowed Tang Wuling and his friends to participate, because the tournament was a good chance to gain battle experience. Since they had never expected the kids to get good results, they naturally hadn't paid much attention to them. Yet the 8 kids' performance had turned out to be surprisingly good. The top brass of the delegation were happy to see that 3 had made it into the top 16, and that Yuan and Yui had even advanced into the top 8. The results were already good enough for them to show off when they got back to the Duo continent. If Tang Wuling managed to defeat the 4th prize Dai Yuan, it would serve as a perfect way to show strength. Do you think Tang Wuling will win this match, Elder Kai? Asked Tang Bingyao, leader of the delegation and vice leader of the Federation Parliament. Truth be told, I don't know, replied Elder Kai. Dai Yuan has the edge over him, I think, judging by his age and cultivation level. But Tang Wuling has fought many opponents who were stronger than him and won. That kid never ceases to amaze me. Many of his teammates were stronger than him, but now he is their captain. It won't surprise me if he wins. Chapter 670, Tang Wuling versus Dai Yuan. Wu Zhangkong stood behind Elder Kai, gazing at one of the big screens delivering sharp images. He had told his students that he would instruct them when they entered the final knockout stage, but Elder Kai forbade him to do that. That was why they hadn't seen him in a long time. The look on his face was cold as ever, but his eyes were full of concern and encouragement. He wanted nothing more than to be there for them in such a difficult time. Dai Yuan rushed towards Tang Wuling. 3 purple and 2 black soul rings appeared around him. His golden hair turned white and his muscles swelled as his first soul ring started shining. White hair came out of his hands with talons for fingernails. His martial soul was the white tiger. Dai Yuan was one of the best among his peers. He had only tasted defeat once, and that was at the hands of Long Yue, whose martial soul was so unusual. In the Star Luo Empire, people who were soul masters had a higher social status than those who weren't. The 4th prince was not only strong, but also sensible and careful when making judgments and decisions, and as such, he was his father's favorite son. They were fast, considering that they were both strength-type soul masters. With every step they took, the aura emitted from their bodies grew more intimidating. Tang Wuling leapt up into the air and brought his claws down. Dai Yuan raised his arms to block the attack. The moment the golden claws touched him, he felt some kind of power threatening to tear his arms apart, so he had to use his soul power to fight it. An air wave was created as Tang Wuling's claws slammed into the 4th prince's arms. Dai Yuan didn't back off even one step. He turned the golden claws aside and tried to slash with his right claw, which was as big as his opponent's claws, but Tang Wuling jerked back, just out of reach. Dai Yuan pressed forward, raining his claws on Tang Wuling. The boy used the ghost shadow perplexing track, checking each blow. No sooner did he turn one slash than the next was upon him. Their arms kissed and sprang apart and kissed again, and then he slashed at the prince, again and again. He quite liked fighting hand to hand. The dance went on for several minutes. Tang Wuling found to his surprise that Dai Yuan could use the ghost shadow perplexing track and mysterious jade hands as well, and that his claws were almost as hard as his golden dragon claws. Even though the white tiger was a strength-type martial soul, and even though Dai Yuan's soul power was at rank 54, which was much higher than his opponent's, he couldn't take Tang Wuling down with his fairy claws alone. In fact, Tang Wuling's golden dragon claws, combined with controlling crane, capturing dragon, was starting to wear him down. Not bad, Dai Yuan acknowledged when he darted away to catch his breath. At this rate, he will get the better of me. I have to use other soul skills to fight him. Here I come. Be careful. The prince shouted, his second soul ring shining. His mouth snapped open, and a beam of white light shot out towards Tang Wuling. White tiger light beam. Tang Wuling jerked his claws up in time, thankful that his adversary had warned him of the attack. Boom. The light beam exploded, and the full force of the impact crashed into its target. Tang Wuling had planted his feet firmly into the ground, but still he fell back several steps, his arms numb and painful. Such power. And that's just his second soul skill. Tang Wuling thought to himself. That was when Dai Yuan's 3rd soul ring lit up. White tiger diamond transformation. He grew bigger, his white fur with black stripes turning golden, his eyes glowing a bright golden, and the 4 stripes on his forehead forming the character Wang 1. Dai Yuan rushed forward, a golden aura surrounding him. One look at him was enough to tell that he was incredibly strong. Tang Wuling took a deep breath. His 2 golden soul rings were gone, 3 purple and 1 black ones appearing in their place. A swarm of blue vines shot out, translucent with golden veins inside and each as thick as a human arm. They possessed the ability to catch and take down his opponent. He wouldn't hold anything back, because running towards him was a powerful 5-ringed soul king, and he had to be extremely careful. Even the smallest mistake might cost him the match. Dai Yuan didn't seem to care about the vines. His golden talons grew longer and sharper, and he slashed. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.